how's it going? I hope everybody's doing good. I was sitting around thinking about my little brother. Any of you guys ever have one of them little brothers that's just wound up tighter than you know what? I did. And man, I was thinking about some of the stuff he did when we was little. And boy howdy, I don't know how we made it. Anyways, I decided I might throw some of the things we did when we was little into one story. And see if you guys think it's as funny as I do. Some of it's pretty crazy actually, but I'm gonna start when we was pretty little. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might do a camping trip. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I could do, and I just don't know. But one thing I do know is I've got a lot of stories, and I'm fixing to tell you guys a good one about me and my little brother. So, go get your soft drinks. Go have a smoke. Snacks. Whatever it is you got to do. Because we're fixing to get this little party started. Let's go. All right, you guys. If you stuck in there past my intro, I sure do appreciate it. But this story starts back. I mean, what comes to my head is my little brother when he didn't have no front teeth. He's about 4, I think. No front teeth and always biting his tongue. Now, my little brother, he was always wound up, had a cowlick, always biting his tongue. Everything he did, he was biting his tongue. And he's always going real fast and always had a lot of energy and was just always wound up. So, here's the thing about them front teeth. I can't. He was running through the house. He was running through the house and wasn't paying attention to what he was doing. And if I'm not mistaken, he ran straight into a door. So, like when the door's open, and it was like, I'm pretty sure he was running out of the bedroom and he didn't open the door. He thought he could get through, or maybe he just didn't see it. And I mean, dead centered that door and knocked his front teeth out. Pretty sure that's how it happened. But either way, the teeth did not come out naturally. That's the point I'm getting across here. Okay? And because they got knocked out too early, he went a couple years without no front teeth. So, like me and my older brother, to aggravate him, would always sing to him, all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. And that lasted for a couple years because he didn't have any and he hated it. Anyway, okay, so he loses his front teeth. Now, then he turns about, I'm thinking he was about 5, maybe 6. And my mom gets us an outdoor pool, but one of them, like 4-foot deep ones, and we thought we was big time, you know what I mean? We lived out in the middle of nowhere, but we had a pool. So I went out there one day and I see my little brother climbing up this ladder to get in the pool, but he's jumping off the ladder like it's a diving board, no diving board. But he's jumping off the ladder doing backflips, right? He's trying to do backflips. And so I went out there. I was like, Jay, you're going to get in trouble. You better quit doing that. If mom catches you doing that, you're going to get in trouble. She ain't going to catch us. She ain't paying attention. I'm just swimming in the pool. I'm just jumping off. I'm like, yeah, we're not supposed to jump off. You know, it's like one of the first rules that we was told was no jumping off the ladder. He's like, nobody knows. It's okay. I've been doing it for a minute. You know, I haven't got hurt, right? Famous last words. He goes, watch. So I'm watching. He climbs up the ladder, backflip. And I'm standing there. I'm not in the pool. I'm outside the pool. Okay? So he jumps in, and I ain't tall enough to really see in the pool from where I'm standing. But he don't come up, you know, for like a few seconds. And I'm like, so I go closer, get closer to the pool, and I look over the edge, and he's, you know, and his head's bobbing. And there's blood in the water. And I'm like, oh no. So, so I climb up the ladder. I jump in the pool real quick. I grab my little brother. He's floating right by the ladder. Okay, and he was pretty little, but you know. Anyways, it wasn't that bad. But I jumped in. I grab him, get him up on the ladder. And he's not like, you know, knocked out or not breathing, but he wasn't. He couldn't move. It knocked him silly. You know what I mean? He was dizzy. He was all tweet tweet. You know what I'm saying? So I get him up to the ladder and I look at him. He's got a gash in his head, his forehead. And I'm sure he still has the scar. But, so I'm like, oh man, that ain't cool. So I get him out of the pool. He helps me. I help him get out of the pool. And then I set him down beside the pool. And then I went running in the house and told Mom, right? I'm like, Mom, Jay jumped off the ladder, did a backflip, hit his head on the ladder. Now he's bleeding. He's cut open. I got him out of the pool. Anyways, Mom's out the door before I could even finish, right? So she gets out there. I'm running behind her, still trying to tell her everything that happened. She got to my brother before I got it all finished. She grabs my little brother. She takes him in the house. Now, my mom wasn't real big on going to the doctor or the hospital about much anything. I mean, you had to be like really hurt. You know what I mean? Like it had to be higher than a 50% chance you was going to die. You know what I mean? If it was 50-50 chance, you was probably going to have to ride it out. But anyways, so that's just how it was. But my mom, she was a good lady. Don't worry, we wasn't abused or mistreated. But if she'd have took us to the doctor every time we got hurt, man, we'd have been living in a cardboard box, y'all, because we got hurt a lot. So she brings my little brother in the house, and by now, you know, there's me and my older brother. So my mom's pretty good at first aid. So she gets my little brother in there, and he didn't have to have stitches, but it was cut open, and it was like in a L shape, right? So she had these butterfly stitches. She always had them for some reason. So she gets his head pushed together up there, his forehead. She squeezes it together, puts the butterfly band-aid on there. He don't even have a knot. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like he hit his head hard or nothing. It was just the edge of the ladder, the step on the inside of the pool, clipped him, cut him open. So that was like, that's the beginning. He was pretty little when that happened. So at the same place, the same house, because these stories, we're going to end up moving. Okay. So where we're living right now, he's got the head wound from the swimming pool. Okay. And then my stepdad and a buddy of his They built us a log cabin clubhouse. Okay. So my little brother, he was like 5 or 6. I'm pretty sure he was around 6 when this happened. Clubhouse, he was probably 6. And so that would have made me 8 to 9. And I was probably about 9 when this happened. But we had this really cool log cabin. It was 2-story. Had a balcony out the back, and a sandbox was under the balcony, right? It was super cool, man. It was like real log cabin. Like they really went out, cut real pine logs, brought them to our house, and built us a log cabin. Okay? So, super cool. And we played in it all the time. And, you know, we definitely was playing Frontier Cowboys and Indians, right? So we got these plants that grow these little purple berries. And I'm pretty sure they're poisonous. But, man, you could make some really cool purple paint with this stuff. You get it on you and it does not come off. So we'd go to school with these stripes, purple stripes. Whoever was the Indian that weekend went to school for about a week with these. Oh my gosh, man, some of the stuff we did. So, you know, war paint, right? Sometimes you'd have one going straight down the middle, too. Handprint. We did it all. But anyways, one day I'm sitting in my bedroom and I could see the log cabin in the backyard, everything from the bedroom. And I'm sitting in my bedroom and I just happen to look out the window and I see my little brother out there and he's got a gas jug and a lighter. And I'm thinking, what is he doing? And I can see him, he's pouring gas in the sandbox, right? Not a whole lot, but I could see him. He's like, pours a little bit in there and he sets the gas jug down, right? And then I see him bend over and he'd light it and I'd see it go, and then all of a sudden the flame would go out, right? He'd pour a little bit of more gas on there, and then it'd just go out. Well, this kept going on. I'm thinking, what is he doing? So I get up and I go out there. I'm like, Jay, what are you doing? You can't do that. You're going to burn the clubhouse down, right? Oh, yeah, man. I said treehouse. I did burn our treehouse down. That was later. Anyways, so he's catching this gas on fire in the sandbox and then putting it out by covering it up with sand. Well, what neither one of us realized is it wasn't really out. I mean, like if you kick the sand back over, like you cover it this way, and then if you kicked it back over that way, it'd just light right back up again. It was the weirdest thing, right? It's pretty weird. And of course, to little boys, that was kind of fascinating too. So I see what he's doing, and I'm like, oh man, that's pretty cool, right? So I never poured no gas, but he kept doing it, right? Well, what had happened is him lifting and then setting the jug down and pouring it. That gas had eventually made itself a trail from the sandbox to the gas jug. And neither one of us noticed. Neither one of us paid any attention to that, right? So eventually, he pours the gas, he sets it down, and he lights it. And when he lights it, it goes, well, while we're watching it flame up, it goes, and it just runs a trail straight over the gas jug. Gas jug goes out to the nozzle. It's got flame shooting out of it, you know. Not like a torch, but I mean, it was under pressure. So, anyways, I'm like, I don't know what to do, right? So, I know not to grab the jug. It's on fire, but we got to get it put out. And I'm like, okay, we can throw sand we can throw sand on the gas jug to put it out. Okay, I know this much. I know that if we cover it with dirt, that'll work, right? So I'm like, throw sand on it, Jay. Throw sand on it. Well, once the jug goes up, he kicked sand over the fire that was in the sandbox. So when we look at the sandbox, there's no fire there. Only at the gas jug is there fire. So he grabs a bunch of sand, throws it over towards the gas jug. I grab sand, same time, throw it at the gas jug. This sand is full of gas. It says, and comes back, lights up the sandbox. Oh man, so we're like, oh, my little brother, he grabs the gas jug and tries to chuck it. He chucked it right into the clubhouse. That's where he threw it. So now we're like, holy moly. So I went into straight, I'm getting the fire hose. Because the clubhouse wasn't that far from the house, but it wasn't close enough to burn the house down. So I ran over. I get the water hose, which is always hooked up because we had a garden and whatnot. I run over. I start spraying down the clubhouse. Okay, so water doesn't put out gas real good. Okay. So anyways, clubhouse burnt down. So we got in trouble for that. Even though I didn't do nothing, I still got in trouble. I was supposed to stop him, but instead I kind of encouraged it, which I did encourage it. But I was just fascinated with how the sand would light back up. You know. Anyways, so that happened. And then we move. Oh, well, no, I'll save that part. Something else happened there when we lived there that was real spooky and crazy, but I'm going to save that story. So, anyways, we end up moving. And so now I think I'm around, I gotta be 11 or 12. I think I was close to 12 because I think by the time I was 12, I could walk to town by myself. So where we had moved to was like a mile down a dirt road from the little town that we lived in. Now, it wasn't like there was a bunch of, worries about anyone getting picked up, kidnapped or whatever, but my mom was still pretty cautious about it, right? So she wouldn't let us walk by herself until we got big enough to where we could at least run away. You know what I'm saying? So by then, I was 12, and I'm pretty sure I was big enough to run away by then. But anyways, I had earned some money through allowance, and I was going to walk to the store and get me a soda and a candy bar, right? Now, my little brother, he was always wanting to go with me. Always wanting to go with me. Always wanting to go with me. So, when I was 12 years old, y'all, that's about the age I started sneaking around smoking cigarettes. Right? So, really, really, I was wanting to walk to the store so I could get me some cigarettes and then smoke a couple of them before I got back, right? And so I didn't want my little brother going with me because if he went with me and then he seen I was getting cigarettes and smoking cigarettes, then he was going to blackmail me, right? No, he would have. He was going to blackmail me. He's going to tell mom if I don't buy him a candy bar or a soda or something. Okay, so I told you at the beginning, my little brother was hyperactive. Like this guy, he had enough energy for a couple families. Okay? I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This guy was wound tight. And when he cut loose, everybody better just get out of the way. You know what I mean? He'll wind down, then we'll go get him. You know what I mean? But that's how he was, and I'm not kidding. So my mom wouldn't let him have a lot of sugar, caffeine, anything like that that would add to this energy, this hyper energy he had. So, no, it was out. I could not do it. But if he caught me, smoking cigarettes, which I was definitely not allowed to do neither, he would use that against me. So I would buy him a soda and a candy bar because he never got it, right? He never, well, he did, but it was very, very seldom and very little, okay? It was completely controlled with him, the sugar was. But man, he loved it, right? Because he couldn't have it all the time, so of course. So I told him no. I was like, no, you're not going. I'm going by myself. And I tried to make up all these excuses, I was going to go by myself. And he's like, I want to go, I want to go. Now, he'd throw a full-blown fit, too, and start crying. And if my mom heard him crying over something like that, she'd make me take him. Then, boom, there goes my cigarette playing right now. I can't break the law. So I have to try to keep him quiet. So I end up still having to barter with this guy just so I could go to the store by myself. I still had to make a deal with them that I would get him a candy bar, not soda. But I told him I'd get him a candy bar if he'd just stay there and wait, right? And he really didn't want to do that. But I kind of I talked him into it. He agreed, but he didn't want to agree, right? He did it because he knew I wasn't going to let him go, and he figured he'd go ahead and get a candy bar out of it anyways, right? But he still really wanted to go. And so I'm thinking everything's cool. I'm walking across the yard. So in our front yard, we kind of lived on a hill. Big 2-story farmhouse. Plantation style with the big front porch and the pillars, columns. Real nice place, real cool. So we had this big walnut tree in the front yard, dead smack in the middle, right in front of the house, front yard, with a big tire swing in it, right? And we played in it. We were swinging that swing all the time. And that's where he was at. He was messing around in that swing. He was in the swing, you guys, right? So I didn't think nothing about it. I turned around and walk off. Well, I get about, I don't know, 20, 30 yards from him. And I hear him laughing, giggling, right? It's like, what's he laughing about? So I turn around and I look. Okay, so you guys remember those clicker balls? You get them going, they go. Man, you can really, right? You can really keep them going until eventually, you lose time. Then one of them flies out of whack, crack, hits you in the knuckles, right? Man, those things were fun. Well, we had those, and they were like the real hard glass, plexiglass, resin. I don't know, man, but they was hard, right? They were dangerous. Well, I'm sorry. I got a runny nose, you guys. I'm sick. Got a little bit of a cold. Anyways, He's got a set of those clicker balls, but he's going like this, swinging them. Right? And he's laughing. I'm going to get you. I'm going to hit you with these if you don't let me go. I was like, whatever, you better not throw them. You're not going to hit me, whatever. Don't throw them. Don't throw them, Jay. You better not. Well, I just keep walking because I know that distance is my best friend right now because he's little. I don't figure he can throw them very far. You know what I mean? He's pretty little. So I'm 12. He was 10. You know what I mean? Or maybe even just 9. He might have only been 9. He's swinging them things. I'm like, you better not, Jay. You better not. Well, I've made it about 50 yards at least. I'm at least a good 50 yards from him now. My back is turned. Okay? And I hear, I'm going to do it. And I turn around. And right when I turn around, I see maybe one more rotation and then phew, he lets them go. Well, I'm standing there just looking. And I watch these things. He lets them go. Them two balls are together and they start rotating. And everything's slow motion, you guys. It's all real slow motion, right? And these two balls are rotating and then they start coming apart. And before you know it, they're doing like this. Right? I'm just watching them. And I can't believe how close they're getting. And I think, them aren't going to hit me. No way did he throw them hard enough to hit me. And I stood there and watched. And them things said, hit me right above my eyebrows. That string did with the tab. It said, shink that string. Them balls wrapped around my head and said, wham! He dropped me. He dropped me like a bad habit right there in the front yard. I said, oh. I was like, oh. I was sitting in the yard, man. I couldn't believe it. Well, I was laying there first, right? I mean, he dropped me. Dropped me over, right? So I'm like, I get up. I'm sitting in the yard. I'm like, I can't believe he got me with them clicker balls. I can't hardly see yet. Everything's ringing. So I jump up. I grab them clicker balls because I'm thinking I'm going to throw them back at him right at first. Well, that's because I was a little bit dazed and confused. And then, so I pick them clicker balls up and I start to, spin them to throw them back. And then I realized he's on the ground laughing so hard. He doesn't even know what I'm doing right now. And I'm not lying, guys. He was holding his gut, cry laughing on the ground right underneath that tire swing. I dropped them clicker balls, and I think that was probably the fastest I ever ran the 50-yard dash. Now, he's my little brother. And no matter how bad I wanted to, I didn't hit him in the face or punch him in the head or nothing like that. But I promise, I tried to break one of his ribs. I really did. That was my goal. I was going to break one of his ribs for knocking me out with them clicker balls. I mean, almost caved my head in. You know what I mean? My goodness. But anyways, so I run up on him and I give him a kick. He's already on the ground laughing, dying. He can't stop laughing. He's cry laughing. He might even pee his pants. I don't know. But I run up on him, man. I kicked him right in the gut. He goes, oh, oh, oh. He said, don't. And he's laughing, right? Listen, I kicked this guy probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. And I'm cussing him, you know. I was pretty mad. I wanted to beat him up. I was going to beat him up. And he could not stop laughing. He wanted to cry and he wanted to scream for help. But he was laughing so hard, you guys, that even while he's getting beat up by his big brother, he couldn't stop laughing. So, the only thing that saved him was every once in a while, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 of them kicks to his gut. He did manage to get out a pretty loud little, oh, you know, oh, he'd start laughing again. And I'm like, I hate you, Jay. In my head, I got 2 knots, you know what I mean? You know, like Princess Leia, but I got knots instead of buns. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness, it was awful. My head hurt so bad, it was ringing. My eyes, my vision was blurry still. But what saved him that time was my mom come running out of the house with one of them big metal curtain rods. And she was serious. So, you know, as far as she knew, I was just trying to kill my little brother. She didn't know what happened. All she sees is me kicking the snot out of him, and he's laugh crying, but she thinks that he's crying from the pain. No, he's crying from laughter. Okay? He was crying from laughter. So I take off running. Now, I know my mom, and I know my mom is not going to give chase when one of her little chicks is on the ground with a hurt wing. You know what I'm saying? So I give it. Well, I was correct. She ran straight to my little brother, dropped the curtain rod. I didn't get hit. I was already gone before she got to me close enough. Ouchie. I cut a big donut around the house. Boom. Run down dirt road, started head to town. Was going to go ahead and go get that soda and candy bar and pack of cigarettes. And I did get my little brother a candy bar. That I didn't tell my mom about. Because I had to sneak, when I would get him candy, I had to sneak it to him. That's just all there was to it. He was just so hyper. And I'd have to make him make all these deals so that he wouldn't get caught. You know what I mean? Me and him go out in the woods or something. He'd eat his candy bar, and we'd just stay out in the woods. I'd let him just all over the woods, you know? Something like that out in the field. Get him away from mom so he could have some candy once in a while or soda. Me and my older brother, we did look out for him once in a while, but boy, he was mean. All right, so Oh man, this story was a little bit longer than I expected. So he survives that one. He still gets a candy bar, but he had a sore stomach and I had a pretty sore head for a couple days. But let's fast forward a couple years, skip a whole bunch of other good stories into one that suits the weather right now. This is going to be the last one, and then you guys will get to see some other stories pop up that are suggestions from YouTube. Go watch them, okay? Yeah. Go ahead and like and subscribe, notification bell, all and all that. Okay, here we go. Another story about my little brother. So now I'm about 15, and he was probably 12 or 13. I'm thinking 12. Yep. I was 15. He was about 12. Yeah, for sure 12. So, because this was in the wintertime. So at this point, I'm 3 years older than him. So anyways, we're out of school. Now, in one of my other stories, the one about coyote hunting and having to stay in the hay bale to stay warm, me and my best friend growing up, Casey. Okay. This story involves him. And then you remember the story I told about Paddy Creek? You remember Cab and his little brother Kobe? Okay, Kobe's in this one too. So as you know, small community, we're all friends, so we was always hanging out one way or another somehow. Okay, so in the coyote story, I mentioned a guy named Farrell that owned a liquor store. And then I also told you guys about how we would carry in wood for him and stock his shelves and stuff like that, and he'd pay us and let us fish in his pond. Well, the thing I didn't say was sometimes, especially when it was cold, he would pay us with a half pint of whiskey and a 6-pack of soda a piece, right? So I'd get a half pint and a 6-pack of soda, and Casey'd get a half pint and 6-pack of soda. Okay? So yeah, if you can't tell, we started drinking pretty young where I grew up. Wasn't a whole lot going on, smoking cigarettes, getting drunk down at the creek, okay? But anyways, uh, me and Casey, we had us some whiskey and some soda down at the creek that was just below my house. And I mean, guys, 150 yards from my house, maybe, from our driveway. Maybe only 100 yards from our driveway. And this creek was spring fed just about a quarter mile up the road. Okay? So where we was at, it was real clean water. It was full of fish and crawdads and all that stuff. And we'd play in that creek, eat out of that creek, just like Paddy Creek, right? So it was winter time. There was spots in this creek that would kind of pull up so it would get these patches of ice where it would freeze over. Now the whole thing wouldn't freeze over. A little part down the middle where the water was flowing, that part wouldn't freeze. And I don't ever remember it freezing. And we lived there for years. But it would, like, off the banks, okay? So what me and Casey had done was we took our whiskey and our soda, tied a rope to it, busted the ice, dropped our soda and our whiskey down in there, tied that rope to a tree right off the bank, and then just left it. And when we wanted to go down there and have a little nip, which we was little, it didn't take much for us, you know what I mean? By the time we drank one soda that we put maybe a half a shot of liquor in, and we'd be loaded. We'd be drunk. But it didn't take much. Well, what we didn't realize is my little brother had followed us. So me and Casey, we was getting whiskey from Farrell for doing chores way more often than what we could drink it. So we had actually kind of had us a stockpile of whiskey. And some of the older high schooler fellas found out me and Casey had a whiskey stash because, you know, me and Casey talked about it. Because we were young, didn't know no better, bragging about all the liquor we had. Well, these high school guys was going to buy some from us one weekend. So me and Casey was going to get some actual money for this whiskey, right? That we wasn't going to drink anyways. We had our own. It was just extra whiskey, and we was going to sell it, have some money. Then we'd have money for gas for dirt bikes and all that stuff, right? We could go do all ammo, whatever, right? So we had a plan. We was going to sell some of this whiskey to some older high school guys. Plus, that would make us cool, right? Now people are going to be like, hey, those guys that got the liquor, they're cool. You know, we get to hang out with the older guys. You know what I mean? It was a win-win. There's like a whole bunch of wins, right? Until we go down to the creek to get this whiskey for these high school guys. And there's my little brother and his buddy, Kobe, laying in the snow. Almost passed out, I'm pretty sure. They was laid out. They had opened 2 bottles of liquor. Couldn't drink, neither one of them could drink even the neck out of one. They was little guys, you know what I mean? They hadn't drank before, and they was just, oh man, they was messed up. When they had opened 2 bottles, right? And I was so mad. And now honestly, it really didn't matter because the high school guys, they didn't care. They was just glad to get anything and didn't change the cost of nothing. And we still got the same amount of money and everything still worked out. We still ended up being cool. Except my little brother dang near got drowned and caught pneumonia all at the same time. Like a buy one, get one free karma action. You know what I'm saying? Because I jumped on him like white on rice. I picked him up. I was so mad at him for getting into my stash. I snatched him up. I said, what are you doing down here drinking my whiskey, Jay? I said, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to get me in trouble. Mom's going to catch us. We're going to get in trouble. What are you doing, you know? He starts smarting off. Right then, I should have known he was going to be somebody to have to worry about when he got older. He wasn't scared one bit, man. He had that liquor in him. He was ready to take on the world. He's mouthing off to me, getting all tough, talking about how he can whoop me and this and that. And I'm shaking him. Credit, you're being ignorant. Shut up. I said, all right, you know what? You're drunk. I said, it's time to sober you up, bub. I jumped in the creek with him. I threw him down in that creek. Now, this creek wasn't very deep, y'all. It wasn't like it was life-threatening or nothing. It was only about knee-deep. but he's wasted, so he can't stand up. So I got him out there where the water is running, no ice. And I'm just dunking them, pulling them up, cussing them, then dunking them, pulling them up. And I did that until my buddy Casey was like, all right, Matt, that's enough. I was like, all right. I drug him out. He's like, hey. You know what I mean? He's soaking wet and limp. He didn't have no more fight left in him. So I just throwed him down in the snow with Kobe. Kobe didn't do nothing. He was just, I mean, these guys were so messed up they couldn't even run, right? So we get the liquor, take it out to the dirt road where the high school guys are waiting on us, sell it to them. Then me and Casey go back, get my little brother, and we drag him up to the house. Now he's wasted. My mom wants to know what happened. Why is he wet? Blah, blah, blah. Well, Kobe, he's so scared. He's going to agree with the whatever me and Casey say. We tell Mom we was all playing around the creek. Jay fell in. We're taking him upstairs. We're going to change his clothes, get him dried off. Everything's okay. She's like, all right, because my mom's super busy. She's always cleaning and cooking and taking care of her boys and all of our friends. And trust me, we had a lot, and they was always over at our house because it was fun at our house. But anyways, that's beside the point. We had fun. But we get Jay upstairs, me and Case, I get him lined out. And he never did tell. Never did tell. But after that, he sure did try to find my liquor stashes all the time. I had to change the kind of rope I was using. I had to definitely change locations several times. And then it just come to the point to where I just quit hiding it in the creek and started keeping it either in my truck or in my bedroom. And that's that. So remember, no matter what, even if your big brothers dunk you in a frozen over creek, don't sweat it. It's going to be okay. All right? Squash the little stuff. Okay? Something's bugging you, call a friend, call a family member, call 988. Millions of people care about you. Thousands of them love you. Trust me, if you need help, there's somebody out there to help you. And always, no matter what, keep on keeping on. Peace.